It's Friday, 14th of May, and the CRAFTVALUE team are here on the scaffold of the Custom House with the OPW, looking at the newly cleaned pediment sculpture. And we can see here these life-sized figures of Britannia embracing Hibernia, carved in Portland stone by the Irish sculptor Edward Smith. Stunning high-relief architectural sculpture. We're looking here at these more than life-size, really exaggerated figures of winds or wafers, and they're blowing these ships of trade or import and export, moving in opposite directions up the River Liffey. The maritime theme of the pediment sculpture continues with the figure of Neptune. Again, really exaggerated features in this life-size sculpture in Portland stone. Incredible carving skill on display. Seems to be carved out of a single block of stone. We can see here in this freestanding, extraordinarily high relief leg of Neptune and his other foot resting on the scallop shell surrounds. Neptune is holding his trident, which we can see here is made of copper. From this vantage point, we can really appreciate the skill and the integral role of the architectural elements of this sculpture and the finesse, the Tuscan frieze with its really deeply projecting mutal blocks and more shallow relief rosettes on the underside of this cornice really creates a framework for the more decorative narrative sculpture in the pediment proper. So we can see here in the lower left corner of the pediment, Neptune is driving away famine and despair from Ireland. A really incredible, evocative scene. You can see the anguish and despair in the faces. Somewhat ironic in this situation. Of course, we have the famine memorial just down the quays, just down the river to the right, and of course the famine ship. You can see here in the frieze of the Custom House pediment the virtuosity, the skill of the carver Edward Smith in carving these Ukrainian motifs. Here in this instance they represent Ireland's thriving beef industry in the 18th century. Between these heads, the craniums, we have the classical linen swags, but here they're actually leather, again representing Ireland's tanning industry. So really emblematic sculptural program here at the Custom House, but what really stands out is the skill of the craftsmen and the materials that they used. We can see here the break in the stonework where the block or the two blocks actually cut through the swag, breaking it into three parts. The scale of the Tuscan columns at the Custom House, huge cylindrical blocks of Portland stone which were quarried in the Isle of Portland in Dorset, shipped across the Irish Sea to arrive up the River Liffey and were unloaded here on the Customs House quay and put together in pieces by the stone masons. Carved here we can see at the capital level with this beautiful egg and dart mouldings, known in the 18th century actually as egg and anchor, which is very appropriate for the maritime theme here at the Customs House. You can see a beautifully carved stone pedimented window surround, a typically neoclassical fluted frieze, but here interestingly surrounded on either side by two tridents. So again, continuing the maritime theme, we have a glimpse here of one of the riverine heads which embellish the surfaces of all four facades of the building here, representing the rivers of Ireland. They were hand carved by the Irish sculptor Edward Smith.